What's going on, good people? Welcome back to the Breaking Berries podcast. I'm your host, Jay Robertson, joined by two of my fellow mates from Breaking Berries. Your serious boy, Jaylon Clark. Welcome back to the podcast. Excited to be here.
Anthony Collins, glad to be here again.
Today, we have a very, very, very special guest. The one and the only, Mr. Shomari James.
Shomari James, God-fearing man, husband, father, son, uncle, entrepreneur. Just here for the culture. I fundamentally believe in the positive progression of the culture. So thank you for inviting me. Can't wait to get into this conversation.
Well, fellas, I'm going to let y'all jump in because I know you guys were excited to have some questions that you want to ask Mr. James.
Actually, speaking of all the roles that you, how do you balance all that? You know, you wear many hats, so in your day-to-day life, how do you manage all that?
Yeah, good question. Right out the gate, we can't even warm up. Man, it is very difficult, but I don't believe in work-life balance. Work-life balance is a fallacy, right? You have ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're 1,000 miles an hour, sometimes you're 100 miles an hour, but sometimes you just slow down and you take breaks. So as an example, I had a business trip in Orlando, went to see Kool and the Gang, to work with Kool and the Gang to see what we can do with some instruments in the school. And while we had a business meeting, I also took some downtime. I took one of those days or half of those days, and it was in Orlando, so I sat in a beach chair and drank some, actually, I don't even know what I was drinking. It was definitely alcoholics, and ate food. So it really, it is up to you to be able to build that time in because it's ebbs and flows. There's never going to be a time where you can call it work-life balance where you just stop for a super long amount of time. You got to keep grinding. You got to keep going. You got to keep hustling.
100%. What first inspired you or motivated you? Seeing that, of course, you're running Equity Now Incorporated and Showcast Media. What motivated you to start teaching people about financial literacy and financial education?
Good question. It goes way back. So my story, without going all the way too deep into it, I'm a product of Buffalo, New York. I went to 4 different high schools. I started at Seneca High School. I got kicked out and went to Alternative High School in Sycamore, Sobieski. We were so bad, they closed that site. Got kicked out of there. They moved us to May and Oak. And then I rotated to Bennett High School. But on that trajectory, there was always someone in my community running that race with me that was a part of my village, whether I knew it or not, that was supporting. So then as I got older and I started matriculating through life, I started to notice it. Like these individuals who were here. And the thing that I like to say is they held a ladder of success for me to climb up. And then I looked back and said, okay, it's your turn. And they said, nah, this wasn't for me. This was for you. So at some point in my life, when you find your God-given purpose, I said, that is it. The aha moment. I have to do the same thing for individuals, regardless of what age, regardless of what creed, regardless of what color or religion, start doing the exact same thing. I married that to my passion for financial education because I popped out with a gold chain, right? I was born, I had a gold chain and a skateboard, right? I say it all the time. My mom likes to say it. But I used to be told I had champagne taste in beer pockets. I ain't like our beer taste. I want to drink champagne. So how do I get to the money? How do I get to the bag? So when I combine my love for financial education plus my community and giving back, that's what inspired me for the culture.
100%. I'll bounce back off of that.
Okay.
Teaching people about financial literacy and education. What do you think are some of the hardships people face when learning about finances and things like that?
Ooh, really good question. So first, I believe that financial education is more than just financial literacy, right? Because when you're literate, that means you can read it, right? You could look, see it, read it. But I believe in that experiential component, right? Like when you're actually in it and you're actually doing it. So they say knowledge is power. But knowledge is not power unless you're using it, right? It has to be kinetic. It can't be potential energy. You got to run right into it. So that financial education piece is just extremely, extremely big. So when you go into that finette, you start talking about financial education and teaching individuals financial education, then a rising tide raises all ships. But double back and ask the question again, because what you asked me and what I heard might be two different things. So ask your question one more time.
What are some hardships that you think people face when learning financial literacy?
Yeah, see, I was making everything about me. I was about to say what my hardship was, so I wanted to make sure I had the question right. So financial education on that same note, experiential, making sure that it's kinetic, that power is moving. you have to make sure when you talk to individuals, if I walk up to you and I say, hey, yo hablo español, and you don't know Spanish, you're going to grab Google Translator, or you're just going to stop talking to me, right? So one of the immediate hardships that we face with financial education, when you walk up to somebody and you start talking about stocks or bonds or something, or even math in general at a higher level, people just shut down. They're like, they don't grab the Google Translator. Or they don't say, hey, I need to learn from you, right? Because for whatever reason, a number of individuals feel that they should know it, depending on what age. So the first thing is coming and being at someone's level so they respectfully understand where you're coming from and know that you're not coming at them to teach them something to get over on them or to embarrass them. So one of the hardest things to overcome, the very first hurdle, is just having the conversation based off having a higher level of knowledge typically than some individuals may have.
All right. And I also heard you talking about this in one of your podcast episodes, I think. What is the difference between financial literacy and financial education? Because I think some people don't really know the difference. And even I, when I was doing my research, I was like, isn't that really the same thing? So what are some differences with it?
Good question. I like how you snuck in there when you was watching my podcast. I like how you snuck that in there. My guy did his research. He did his research. So financial education versus financial literacy. So financial education is, so my degree is in industrial engineering. There's this term called is not. So I'm gonna go all the way on is and not the is not, right? So financial education. So we have Legends Charter School, which is a K-8 charter school in Prince George's County, Maryland. I always say Atlanta, Maryland. People always think I said Atlanta, Maryland. So I started switching to Prince George's County, Maryland. So it's K through 8, 900 students, financial education, not just financial literacy. On the walls is budget lane, investment app, right? So what grade y'all?
I'm a freshman college.
Okay, dope. High school. Okay, high school, dope. So what is your favorite teacher of all time?
I'll probably say video post productions.
And what's the name of that teacher?
Jim Dershberger.
Okay, so Mr. Dershberger, right? So my scholars, not only will they know Mr. Dershberger, but Mr. Dershberger's class is the Boeing classroom, right? So you come to the Boeing classroom and you know that Boeing is a Fortune 500 company and the stock symbol is BA. And then if you want to learn more about it, you click on the QR code outside of Mr. Dershberger's classroom and it'll give you the financials for that company. That is financial education. It's in movement. It's all around you. They can't escape financial education. We have global youth summits, Shark Tanks, entrepreneurs. Every single classroom is named after a Fortune 500, Fortune 200 company. They cannot escape financial education at Legends Charter School. So what we do, Equity Now, the not-for-profit charter management organization, we ensure that we keep up to date with our curriculum and all the things that are going on in market. And we provide that to Legends Charter School, as well as other nonprofits, churches, charter schools, private schools, etc. That's financial education.
That's what's up. I heard you just talked about Fortune 200 companies. You said Fortune 500 companies. Can you kind of break that down into what a Fortune 500 companies and things like that, like are specifically are? Does that make sense?
Fortune 500 and Fortune 200 is a level of customers. It's not a satisfaction rate, but an amount of dollars of revenue that you receive as an organization. And then they list it out per company. So like Apple is bigger. They're $1 trillion company, which would be bigger than I'm trying to name a Nokia or something like that. But we're not giving them that credit to go into depth. They got, unless they're going to do Cruise or Bregan Berry or some money or something for you know what I mean? Podcast. Absolutely. But it is a good question.
Seeing as the economy nowadays are consistently changing, do you think that also plays into why people don't really get into it, because it's hard to understand because the environment is constantly changing?
That's a good question. And I paused because I'm a Gemini and I've been real jovial and nice and friendly on this podcast. I have Shomari, Mari, and Akil, my 3 personalities. Shomari is the real nice dude. Akil is that mean dude, and Akil wanted to answer that question. So Mari jumped in, the middle guy, and paused because said that. No, I'm not crazy. I'm very self-aware. It's always an excuse. It's always going to be something. It's always a president we don't want, or a law that we don't want, or a new Boeing plane falls out the sky. God forbid I'm flying. Oh my God, why did I use that as an excuse? As an example. So it's going to always be something in the economy in the world, in the universe that is happening that we're not going to like and that's going to take up our time. So if we don't start now, when? Right? Like, if not now, when? If not us, who? So we have to start now, and starting really equals. I was in Atlanta with one of our clients, and when I said to the client, because one of the participants asked a question about budgeting and how much should they use with the topic of pay yourself first, right? It's not necessarily about how much you actually pay yourself first. It's about building the habit, right? You know what I mean? So even if you get a paycheck and the economy is terrible, but you're building the habit, you take $5 and pay yourself first off that $5. Now, as a man, I might feel some type of way. I'm only paying myself $5, but it's not about that, right? It's about getting that habit locked and loaded. I guess a gym example, right? Like, one of the things, I go to the gym 3-4 days a week, sometimes 5. I'm 47 years old. I'm not trying to go to the NFL. I tell my trainer that all the time. Why I need 2 45-pound plates on you? What? Why do I have to do that? I'm not trying to know. I just need enough to stay healthy and spend all my money. Anyway, I digress. The first thing you do is you get that bar, you get your form right before you put any plates on there, and make sure your form is right. Because if you listen 225, 275, 300 wrong, you're going to hurt yourself. But the point of that, though, to only lift that bar is to get your form right and to build a habit. So now when I go from 135 to 175 to 195 to 225, that form is there. It's the same. You got to build that habit. Take $5 as soon as you get that paycheck and put it aside. And now it becomes routine. Every single time I get paid, the person I pay first is yourself. That was call and response. The first person I pay first is
So earlier you mentioned communication and being able to talk to people, right? I feel like you're one of those individuals who can walk into any space and talk to anybody on any level.
shit.
And these gentlemen, they mentioned the Fortune 500 companies, and I know you had some background experience and in those spaces. What was it like for you going from? And we always talk about going from the streets to the suites.
Yeah.
And how we're able to constantly go up and down that shoot, right? As you kind of learn how to move in certain spaces. Can you talk about how you kind of utilize those skills to help you get to where you are, and how you impart those skills on even the individuals that you treat?
Yeah, good, really, really good question. I rewatched an interview that I did answering a question similar to this, and my wife yelled at me about how raw I got with the answer. So I started to clean this one up a little bit. So this is the PG version. And the end of the question is, there is nothing ever going to happen to me in a boardroom full of individuals in suits that is worse than what happened to me in the streets. I'm from Buffalo. I'm from the town. I know outside of Buffalo, people got all these things to say about us, whatever they might be, about the Bills, about it not being a lot of black people. It's a hood everywhere you go. And I grew up in the hood. I started in Cold Spring, then was at Richlawn, then I was on Delavan, then Delavan and Bailey. That should tell you enough right there, right? So what I experienced in my childhood growing up, choosing to be in the streets, because I didn't have to. I was blessed not to have to be in the streets, but I chose to be in the streets because, again, they told me I had champagne taste and beer pockets, so I needed to get money. So I chose to get money. I'll leave that to your imagination, right? So now when I get into corporate and I'm dealing with individuals who don't look like me, and they saying things that either I don't understand or I don't like or whatever, it's forcing me to step back and look outside myself to be like, what is he talking about? I have to learn, I have to grow, and I have to get better. While at the same time, I'm looking at it like, regardless of how many times you might write me up because I didn't do my job, the worst thing you can do to me is fire me. You can't beat me. You're not right. We're not gonna fight, bro. So calm down. Like, you turn a red face, bro. You what? Like, calm down. Just write me up. Put me on a clip. Whatever you want to do, bro. Like, I'm not concerned, bro. It's nothing you can do to me. I tell you a story. I was at UPS. Man, I love my experience at UPS. United Parcel Service, right on Bailey Ave. I did 10 years there. I call it a big because it was a beast. I walked in. I started the National Society of Black Engineers at Buffalo State College. I started that chapter. We had a luncheon. It was dope. I was president. I did a speak. I was on a high. Like, it was crazy. So I had to go to work after that, right? So I'm in a 3-piece suit, cufflinks. I walk up and I walk into my office, this big office. Big office with multiple offices, and I had a cube. Let me make that clear. Not my big office. And Dude walked up on me, one of the white males that worked there. He said, "You'll never be important enough to wear a 3-piece suit and cufflinks here." So I paused, Shomari, Mari, and Akil, right? Because Akil wanted to like say some things that would be a lot of bleeps on this podcast. But I paused, breathed easy, and walked away. Gathered myself, came back probably like 3 hours later. It was a break. And I came back. I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because you know what? This is not my final stop. So no, I probably won't ever be important enough to wear a 3-piece suit and cufflinks here, but I got it on and you don't. So that experience in corporate, that's just one of the stories where I had the opportunity to learn while I was at someone else's table while building my own table.
I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know you enjoy investing in stocks. Yeah. So I did my research too. I heard you talking about a podcast. And one of the things I think it might have been season 1 episode 2. I haven't had a gentleman on teachers at the school. Okay. Yes.
Yep.
I believe I'm supposed to meet him soon.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And I believe the phrase was start an account.
Yep.
You talk about that.
Open, fund, invest, donate. Open an account, fund your account, invest in something, and then when you start to get to the bag, donate. Money is not the root of all people. The love of money is the root of all people. And bad people are going to be bad people whether they have money or not. But I went on a quick tangent. I always digress. Well, we fundamentally believe in going back to just start with that $5. Just start building that habit. The sooner you open an account and you fund that account, it's a thing called compound interest. Money making money for itself. When I was younger, I had no idea what that meant, right? Like I used to say it, like I want my money to make money for itself, but I didn't know what it meant. Meant like for real, you know what I mean? Until I did. And I don't live with regrets. It's really no point. I got God in my life, so it's no point in living with regrets. However, if when I was in college, mid-90s, I graduated 2000, something like that. What if I would have bought Google, right? Compounding is a beast. However, though, the reason I don't live with regret is I bought Apple when Apple was, I think it was $699, right? I went in, my mentor kept telling me, shout out to Roger Shuther, my mentor. When Apple was like $80, $69, he kept calling me, telling me his train has left the station, but there's another one for you to get on. So finally, when I moved to Maryland, got myself situated, made sure my wife, kids, family, career was okay, I bought it. At about $699 a share, per share. I just went in, I dumped heavy in that thing. I mean heavy. I'm talking thousands. It split 7-1. If you don't know stock splits, you now have 7 shares for every one that you own. Now, you don't necessarily make money right there. You make money when the stock goes up from the original price. So in that time, I've seen a 7-1 split and 2 4-1 splits. So a picture of that could be, I kept stuffing Apple stock into a drawer, kept stuffing it into a drawer. Then when it filled up, bigger drawer. And then imagine a drawer that is above your head that's stuffed in there. One day, that drawer fell over. And it fell over because it became just a big pile of money. The point in that is once you start investing and you have compound interest and you're paying yourself first, and then you buy into companies that have a dividend. A dividend is when a company pays you to own it, you're just adding money to your money. So I fundamentally believe that investing in the stock market is the best vehicle to grow your wealth. Last thing I'll say about that, because I said a lot so far, statistics can tell you anything. And oftentimes you hear the billionaires and the multimillionaires in the world, they all have real estate in their portfolio. That's a fact. That's a fact. However, I believe it's like 70 to 75% of those individuals who became millionaire and billionaires got their money in the stock market and then added real estate to their portfolio. So I believe one of the best ways to grow your wealth is in the stock market, regardless of what the economy is doing. It's just like walking into, I don't know, Foot Locker. I don't even know if Foot Locker still exists. And every pair of Jordans is on sale. When the market is not doing bad, that's what that means. When Apple is $200-$300 normally, and then 47 comes in and he's throwing tariffs on everything. So now it drops to $100. It's 50% off. Buy that thing. They're $1 trillion company. They ain't not going nowhere. Plus, I guarantee if we do a phone check right now, I guarantee almost everybody in this room got an iPhone.
I kind of wanted to add on to that. I know you said you wanted to kind of digress, but I just made this question up off the fly. You said stock marketing was the easiest way to make money, right? Or one of the easiest. I mean, not the easiest. It's the best path. The best, in my opinion. You're right about that. That's not bad. I got no worries. Cut it the question. Even though it's the best or one of the best ways to kind of make money, do you think it's also one of the riskiest ways to make money as well?
I don't. I absolutely don't, because risk is calculated in many different ways, right? So if you own a property and you buy a property and that property is eminent domain property, you purchase that property and you make your bread off that property, but it's eminent domain, meaning the city actually owns it, and now they come take your property, it's gone. Okay, so let's not argue, had a debate about eminent domain. You buy a property, it's your land, but a toilet break. So now the toilet break and the kid goes in there and tries to flush the toilet, but they fall in because it keeps rushing or they slip or fell. That's on your insurance. You just heard a kid. So it's always risk, and it's risk in this podcast. Y'all took a risk bringing me on that y'all don't have to bleep it out, right? It's always risk in life. So no, I don't believe that is any more risk in the stock market than real estate or entrepreneurship or anywhere else. And the other thing that I'll say to that as well is you can go check the stats, right? You can go look and say to ChatGPT, to Google, to Wall Street Journal, and go look, Google it and say, what is the last 50 years of what the stock market, last 100 years of what the stock market has done? And you're going to see it goes like this, right? Like this. Now you're going to see some dips, like, ooh, that was one of the times that it hurt. But then it went like this. So the line is always going up. That thing is never like this consistent.
Right. Kind of to switch gears just a little bit. Yeah. Do you think young Black men are being taught financial education enough? And why do you think it's such an important topic to speak on?
So I don't think financial education is being taught enough to the culture, whether it is young Black men, young Black women, or young Black, whatever you identify as, right? Period. But the system is doing what it is designed to do. So it's I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. You feel me? They don't want us to learn about financial education. One of the things that you see, I'm not going to go to politics. Let me steer clear of politics, too deep into the politics, and answer the question. I'm going to go off of it is designed intentionally the way it is to be designed. And think about something, right? So whether you agree with it or not, I'm going to say out loud, I don't. There is this rhetoric about tax the rich, eat the rich, billionaires are terrible, rip apart corporations, ban all of these people who getting all of this bread, right? If you follow that, I don't necessarily think you should subscribe to it either. But let's think about something. Let's add something, because again, it's about statistics, right? Being rich is bad. Getting to the bag, being a billionaire, being a millionaire, getting your money, no matter how much philanthropy you're doing, it's bad to make money. Do you know today's day and age, there are more Black and brown millionaire and billionaires than ever in the history of the world? So for me, is it a coincidence that all of a sudden that not even the undercurrent, that the current and that the wave is don't get rich with Black people now getting into the bag? Like, you know what I mean? We got to step back for a second. So we have these individuals, whether left, center, right, whatever, are saying and spewing all of these things, which suppresses some individuals to say, I don't want to become a millionaire. Why? Why would you not want to become a millionaire? If you became a millionaire, how many people can you help? If you become a billionaire, how many people can you help? And then now let's classify it. Let's keep it up. How many people can you help that look like you? And then nepotism is my family's birthright. I'm saying, where's my camera? Nepotism is my family's birthright. If I miss the camera, nepotism is my family's birthright. All of this crap about I build it and my family can't work there, or I can't help my people, or let's remove diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's smoke and mirrors, bro. It's smoke and mirrors. They try to keep us distracted from this wave of individuals getting to the bag. So my encouragement is learn financial education, get to the bag, and then open, fund, invest. And notice that last one was donate. Take care of the people around you and take care of individuals who don't have as much as you, and never forget about those.
I don't know how much you would talk about this with.
Okay, love that.
But I'm going to ask you about it.
Okay.
I know we talked about it when I was down in D.C.
Okay.
Loveland Development.
Ooh, I'd love to talk about that. I actually appreciate that question. Loveland Development is a 10-acre community of my family who decided that we all want to live in a common space. It is also about financial education, not just financial literacy, because ultimately the individuals involved and the bloodlines from the individuals involved will learn, know, and just absorb what we're doing. Loveland specifically, 10 acres of land in Fort Washington, Maryland, and everybody has a house. I think it's 7 or 8 homes on the land. It's a raw piece of land that we bought, designing it, going through parks and planning. We're going to do a community house, so the actual business, Loveland, creates revenue for itself. And it has my mama, my cousin, obviously my wife that will build the house together, her sister, my buddy from college. And what we're doing is we're taking a piece of land that was just nothing was being done with it in Prince George's County, Maryland, that is one of the most affluent places for African Americans. And we're going to build our own compound. And then on that compound, we're going to have vegetation. So therefore, we're going to grow our own food. So we're going to have chickens. We're going to have herbs and all live next door to each other and show individuals that we as a family can also operate as a business. That conversation around nepotism. Ultimately, my children's children, so my grandchildren, right? If they are not billionaires, I've done something wrong. I may not ever get there. I'm good in my life. In a car, well, let me not say that. It's 1, 2 cars I get. But ultimately, I'm good. Now my quest where I am in my journey at 47 years old is so that my children's children are not spoiled, understand what we went through to get to what we have, but never have to go outside the family to ask for anything. That's Loveland. And it's the lovelandllc.com or .org if you want to donate to it. So that's what take donation.
Talking generational wealth.
Yeah. And not just generational wealth. I've shifted from I say generational wealth, but with my family, I more so have the conversation around generational wellness, because it's not just about building like wealth, but do you have God in your life? How is your mental health? How is your physical health? And then how are you taking care of community? That's wellness, right? That's wealth, everything wrapped up in it. And then the money, the bag, the finances is what supports it, because we can think about it all day, but excuse my slang, if we ain't got no money, and you know what I mean, we're struggling and we can't do a lot of things. And I don't say that to be derogatory for those who cannot. I say that to say that, hey, let's move forward in doing something so we can get the money with whatever it is that you might have to then whatever generational wellness looks like for you and your.
Why is it so hard for our community to come together like that around finances and trying to put ourselves in better places? Because I got a bunch of homies and I'm just like, yo, I like real estate. I'm like, this buildings we can buy and go on together.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to get us on the same page and have the same mindset in regard to trying to put ourselves in a better position for the future and our families?
Yes, that's a good, tough question that these are the thoughts of Shomari James, known in his family and nothing to do with his company. I gotta say that out loud. So a part of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow night is somewhere along the path, we got lost as a people. So not necessarily as tough on my people, our people, the culture, as I used to be, looking at decades of being suppressed and decades of being enslaved. But if you take a look at the OGs in the game, right? Like Nat Turner, right? Like Nat Turner was a rebel, was a revolutionist. He wasn't interested. It was take me or die. Like you're not taking me, I'm dying. Like I'm gonna kill as many of these individuals who have plantations as possible. I am not promoting violence on this podcast. I'm talking about Nat Turner. The next thing was Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman wasn't looking for equity or equality. Harriet Tubman was looking for liberation. She wanted to go. She didn't say, can I sit at your table? Can I be a house ninja? Right? Then this shift somewhere occurred where integration and not necessarily being with ourselves and doing business with ourselves, and the concept of Black Wall Street was one, like, it was this brilliant concept. It's not brilliant. It's what Harriet Tubman said, yo, I would have freed more of those who were enslaved if they would have known that they were enslaved. So somewhere we got a little bit lost on the path, and there is hundreds of years of mindset shifts that need to take place in order for us to trust each other, to come together, to be able to build together. And I think that's another part of my purpose in life, is to spark that coming together. Because when I come to the table and I have conversations with individuals, one of the things I say right out of the gate, I don't need nothing from you. I'm doing this because I got love, because I see the work that you're doing and I see the impact that it's making. And not only do I want to be a part of that, and I think I can add value to that. Let's do it together, because a rising tide raises all ships. However, everybody is not in that open mindset yet. So we just have to trust each other, do it in small pockets, and then show that it can work.
I think that people don't think that it's worth it, like you said, that mindset, that mindset. We were taught and we were suppressed so much, and we were taken away from the idea and the fact that we came from kings and queens.
Right.
So nowadays, people, they just worry about themselves. That's right. Every time that we did rise, we were pushed back down. That's right. So I think it's very important that we educate ourselves and we educate each other on that fact that we are capable of rising.
I agree. And that we can do it together. And meaning that we can do it together doesn't necessarily mean that we can all do it all together, because everybody can't go, right? Like, just because you might be my cousin does not necessarily mean that you have the skill set, the knowledge, the fortitude, the financials, or you might even just be in a position where you're not ready. So why am I partnering with somebody else that's not my quote unquote fam? Because they became my fam and they are ready, right? So we just gotta keep doing it. And to your point, which is a great point, what I've seen over a while now is those who in the culture who do get to the bag, they become gatekeepers and hoarders of knowledge and roadblocks and hurdles, which is also one of my folks said to me when we were having a conversation, Shomari, you get security yet? Like, you got security? Because again, like, why would you hoard knowledge? And when I walk into the room, even if you make more money than me, your bag might be bigger than mine, but you ain't me, bro. And I ain't worried about you. So either we gonna sit and have this conversation, or you gonna see me on the other side and I'm gonna build bigger and better than you. Because you might have me right now, but if you got me right now, I'm coming, bro. So either we can work together or be it, bro.
In reality, from me seeing from the inside, on different things, because nowadays everything's available on social media, almost everything is available on social media. So the reality of the situation is other cultures, they help each other. They help their own. They build up their own. So do you think that that's where our people may get confused of gatekeeping the wrong people?
I think sometimes it's the path of least resistance. It's easy for me to get with my dudes who I've been rocking with for years and get money with. It's hard for me to partner with y'all. It's hard for me to rock with my guy, right? Like, that takes work. Like, I don't know you from, you know what I mean, a long time, where as much as I know these individuals and their idiosyncrasies. So for us to sit down and collaborate, that takes work. Now, I'm just the type of person, let's get through that. I believe, because folks like to say this, but really not talk about what it means for real. Iron sharpens iron. And we run around talking about iron sharpens iron. We good because iron sharpens iron. Well, really, if you get into it, iron sharpens iron. And as it sharpens, it creates heat and sometimes fire, which is friction. So let's call that beef. Let's call that disagree with, right? Let's call that smoke, right? So yes, iron sharpens iron. It makes everybody better. But can you stand the heat to come out on the other side sharper? And I think that's where, as a culture, just my opinion, we struggle. Because the moment you and I are doing a business deal and now we disagree and we don't have a system set up where it's voting or whatever the case may be, and I'm not going to have any feelings about it, or you are, when we disagree, it goes wayside, right? It go by the way. Well, you know what? I'm going to just go rock with my man and I'm going to get this money and I need you anyway. And I'm not saying that's what I would do, but oftentimes that's what happens. So people sometimes take the path of least resistance and go, well, what's comfortable? Sometimes I can't knock people for that, right? But if we want to take over, if we want to make this thing exponential, then we're going to have to, for real, allow iron to sharpen iron. And that means it's going to be friction. That means it's going to be heat. And that means we're not going real and everything. And the last thing I'll say about that, if I'm in a room with individuals who are bobbleheads and they all agree with everything that I'm saying, you're doing something wrong behind my back. You're doing something wrong. Y'all done see me in this, I think 30 or 40 minutes we've been on this podcast. I am not one you're going to agree with everything that I say. This is not my style, right? You're going to be like, this dude is out to lunch today. Yes, I am, because these are my ideas. Now, if that does not happen, I'm looking at folks a little suspect. And I'm going to have a conversation. I tell people, I invite you, older folks used to say, don't listen to the peanut gallery. Listen to the peanut gallery. Be the peanut gallery. Talk, speak, put your opinion out there. Tell me what you disagree with. Because once we throw all that paint and all of that to that white wall, it's going to come out and be a masterpiece.
Well, I know we're getting close to time, so I'm going to let y'all throw some last words out there before we give Shomari the last word, because he got to get to dinner that I wasn't invited to.
Seeing that you got 17 plus years, I think, in strategic planning and doing operations and looking over that, things like that, how has that set you up for success as an entrepreneur and for Equity Now Incorporated, things like that?
Yeah, good. Really good question. My gift and curse is that I'm able to multitask. I can do a whole lot of different things, and I can have a lot of different things on my plate. And then oftentimes I have an expectation, unfairly, that individuals can do it as well. But it's just been me all of the time. I have my non-for-profit charter management organization, Equity Now, that I'm the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of. I'm co-owner of Paradise, spelled with a Y, Paradise Shop on Instagram. I'm a clothing line. I have a consulting company, and many other companies that I could rattle off. And the only point in that is to underscore being able to do a whole bunch of different things at once. But I had a mentor that said to me, what is your bread and butter? What do you do that earns you income, that makes you money? That if you look at that Venn diagram, those circles that intersect with each other, what can you make money from that you're also good at, that you love to do? And then it boils down to financial education and educating the culture and helping individuals who are underserved. And in underserved, I don't mean just Black and brown individuals. I mean anybody, white, Black, Puerto Rican, Latin American. If you want to call yourself Hispanic, you can, but I use Latin American. But it's just in me to be in this position where I want to be able to help individuals to grow. That underserved piece, not only being about Black and brown individuals, it just boils down to, when you look at the math, they oftentimes look like me, right? I know we got to go, but I want to say this one story to get it on record. I was actually going to put it on Instagram. Oftentimes we need to pause, sit back, reflect, and then come out and have conversations about what we're asking individuals to do and why. So this whole DEI thing, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I kept seeing these posts about ban Target, ban Amazon, ban all of these companies that are removing DEI. And I didn't have any type of gut feeling. It was like, whatever, I see that's what they're doing. They probably shouldn't do that. So I kind of get it. And then I got that phone call. And that phone call was, well, Shomari, you have a $2 million grant and it has DEI in that grant. So you can either amend it, you can say, no, you don't want this money at all, or you can just drop everything. I ain't dropping everything, right? So we now were in a position where I had to make some alterations to the language about DEI in my own business where I support Black and brown people. So I had to take some of that stuff out to keep my $2 million. So do you ban me now? So do you not come to my school? It's Black History Month every single day in my school. We won't have to wait for February. It's for Black co-founders. DEI is in me. Who I bring to the table to hire is who I bring to the table and hire, regardless of what it might say on the application and removing DEI. I only tell that story, A, to get it off my chest because I hadn't said it out loud, but B, to say that we have to just sit back, pause and reflect before we go out and judge. In this age of instant with social media, with Google, with TikTok, Instagram, we so quick to get likes and get information out there and don't necessarily study. Now, I'm not saying go shop at Target. I'm not saying go shop at Amazon by any stretch of the imagination. However, maybe they had to remove it because they were going to lose some money. And then they continue to have black vendors, because if you ban shopping at Target, there's a multitude of black vendors at Target, right? So again, I say that story to get it off my chest, but also to say for the culture, we got to pause and be strategic about how we move and then move collectively at times.
Yeah, that was a powerful right there. I'm ready to you for the last word.
Oh man, I wasn't prepared for the last word. I like to say on expediting change, I'm good on the fly, but if there was one takeaway, just one thing to remember, or one thing to forget, that I said I had 3 personalities, one thing to actually remember, especially with young people to my right, I absolutely love the positive progression of the culture. I'm 47 years old. This world is yours now. Do with it what you may positively, and I'm not going to tell you who or what to believe in, God, Jesus, Buddha. However, what I am going to tell you to do is believe in something that's greater than yourself. Because once I decided that I was going to stop messing around with religion and all of these different things that I was saying that wasn't necessarily right, and believed in something that was a higher purpose than just myself, my life changed completely. And that's not talking about any type of jobs or money or anything. But what it did was it opened my mind from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset about what I could be, because my God is not going to allow me to not be anything that I choose that I want to be. So that's what I would leave you young people. We appreciate you. We believe it. I believe it.
Amen to that. Shout out to all the Say Yes family of Shy Foundation, JP Morgan Chase. We appreciate y'all, Buffalo Bills Foundation. We back with season 7. This is episode 2. So we'll be back next week with episode 3. It's a wrap. See ya. Peace and love.